broadcast. So I use these opportunities to answer people's questions regarding septic tanks, domestic septic tanks or dog poop septic tanks. So I'm going to crack on and answer your questions. Okay, so keep them coming. Thank you very much for all your questions so far. So the first one that I'm going to answer today is a very unusual question, but it's a very, very, very good one. All right, so obviously lots of people have got dogs and they want to know some of the biggest questions, most questions I get is to do with the sizes of the dog poop septic tank. So I thought I'd just start with this. So let's start with the large. All right, so let's just start with the large dog poop septic tank. So what do I mean by large? How many dogs will it actually do? Well, it will do 1 to 3 dogs. So what do I mean by 1 to 3 dogs? What kind of dogs? Elephant dogs, chihuahuas, what? All right, so typically when I say 3 dogs, you could do 3 terriers, 3 spaniels, cocker spaniels. So, I would say average size dogs. Let me qualify what I mean by that. Okay, let me qualify what I mean by that. Okay, because there's a few variables here to take into consideration on the large one. All right, one size doesn't necessarily fit all. So let me give you an example. A chap rang me up the other day and he's got 3 Jack Russells, right? He's got 3 Jack Russells. And you have to forgive my writing there. He's got 3 Jack Russells and he said they're small dogs, but they poop, right? But they poop 5 times a day. So that's a lot of poop, isn't it? I mean, if you got 3 Jack Russells, right? So you're talking about 15 poops a day. Okay, so there's 2 things. It depends on the size of your dog, right? And how many times your dogs poop a day. I suppose that's what it breaks down to. So look, if you've got 3 Jack Russells, right, and they poop in the morning, poop at lunchtime, poop in the evening, which is normal, right? The large dog poop septic tank will cater for that beautifully. No problem about it. But if your dogs are pooping 5 times a day, then I would seriously recommend going for the extra large. All right, and that's what that chap who had 3 Jack Russells who were pooping 5 times a day went for. So I'll explain. Okay, so look, I do a large, I do an extra large, LAR. It's really hard to write and talk. As a man, I can only do one thing right at a time. So, according to my wife, anyway. So, and she's always right. So, there's large, there's extra large, and then there's XXL, right? So, XX large. So, if we use, I tell you what, let's work on the premise of, let's say you've got 2 Labradors, 2 medium to large size Labradors that are pooping 3 times a day, right? So let's say you've got 2 Labradors, right? And they're poop, and you've got 2 medium to large. That's the size of them, okay? And they're pooping twice a day, then the large is going to be fine. If you've got 3 to 4 medium to large Labradors, then you're going to go for the extra large. And let's say you've got 5 medium to large size Labradors who are pooping 3 times a day, each of them, that is, then you definitely need to go for the XXL, for the extra large. So that's big. I mean, it's not an exact science. I mean, if they're pooping more than that, then obviously, if you've got 2 and they're pooping more than 2 to 3 times a day, then obviously you've got to go up accordingly. So it does depend on the bowel movements of your canine, basically, okay? And because the worms, although they eat, they only eat at a certain rate, So if you put more poop in there than the worms can cope with, then the poop's obviously going to build up. So I hope that's answered that question. Now, another question that someone asked me today, right? They said, what, and this is a very good question, so I'm going to write it down. What if you use worming tablets? And that's a fantastic question. What if you're using worming tablets, right? So don't forget, in the dog poop tank here, you've got organic worms, right? That's the heart and soul of the ecosystem inside the dog poop septic tank. And just before I forget to ask, people are asking me, they're saying, Jason, can these worms escape? The answer is no, they can't escape. Right. They're put in such a way that they're comfortable and they're happy in their surrounds. And but if the worms want to come out, you physically actually have to grab a handful of them and put them on the garden. If they can't escape any other way unless you help them, basically. Okay. So this is the question. What if you're using worming tablets? Now, that's a very, very good question. Will they kill the worms inside the dog poop septic tank? That's a fantastic question. I love that. I love these kind of questions. So the answer is, will they kill the worms in the dog poop septic tank? The answer is a resounding no. So why do I say that? Well, number one, the worming tablets are broken down inside the dog, and a large percentage, so we can say, right, for sure, about 90% is going to be absorbed by the dog itself, right? So whatever medicine is in those tablets, the dog will break it down, and it's got all those acidic juices that are going to break that tablet down, right? And it absorbs it. That's why it kills. And the worms in the stomach in its intestines will absorb it. So it will kill all those worms and all the other horrible stuff. So the dog absorbs a lot of it. Okay. Number two, these worms are very, very hardy worms. They're not earthworms, right? And in domestic septic tanks, right? Many people who use them, they got bleach in there. They use cleaners. They use all kinds of things, right? And they put that, and a lot of this stuff's got skull and crossbones on the back, and they flush this down the loo. But the worms, because I sell these worms, the reason I'm mentioning this, sorry, I'll quickly rewind. On the domestic septic tank, people can buy buckets of worms from me and tip them in, and they eat all the fat and the grease and the sludge. And in a domestic septic tank, people flush, men and women flush domestos and washing powder and soap and cleaners, all kinds of stuff into the septic tank, but it doesn't kill the worms, right? It doesn't kill the worms at all. You've got some dilution rate in the tank, but the worms are very, very, very hardy creatures, right? And number three, the medication that's used in the wormers is specifically designed to target certain worms only. So it's targeted medication. Targeted medication. So for that reason, rest assured, carry on using as many worming tablets or as much worming medicine as you want to kill the worms that live in your dog, but it will not affect or harm the worms in your septic tank, in the dog poop septic tank. So I hope that's answered that question for you. All right, so another popular question I've had today is why won't, if dog poo really smells, why won't the dog poop septic tank stink? And that's a very good question as well. So let's take a worst case scenario. Let's pretend it's a hot, sweltering day like some of the summers we had last year. Let's pretend it's really hot and sweltering. All right, and let's say you've taken your lid off and you've dropped your dog poop in. There you go. Let's put it in there. All right, so let's really pile on the poop. All right, so your dogs have had a busy day, right? So you've put lots of poop in, pour, and it's stinking, and it's and there you go. There's the odors coming off the dog poop, right? Now, because this is a real septic tank, it has an airflow, right? This particular air filter, oh man, took me quite a while to find the right air filters to get for this dog poop septic tank, but this is an organic air filter. Okay, and what it does, it allows air, fresh air, it allows the fresh air to go in to the tank. So the fresh air comes in and it circulates around, right? And but what it does, which is amazing, it lets air in and it lets the air out. Because there's a soak away here, it creates, as I said, you've got a circulation in there, right? And the air itself, as it's circulating, it draws up those odors and those fumes, and they are sucked, literally sucked up into the air filter. The air filter then filters those horrible stinks, right? Takes the smells and the odors out completely and just puts out oxygen back into your garden. So it's almost like a tree, you know, like a tree can take in carbon dioxide and put out oxygen, right? This is almost the same. It takes in bad, horrible, stinky, fumes and stuff. It removes all the stinks and the odors from them and puts out lovely, fresh, clean oxygen. It's very, very clever who makes those organic air filters. But yeah, they're a key component of the dog poop septic tank. So that's why they won't smell. Lots of people asking me, Jason, if it's down the garden and it's wintertime and it's like -2, will the worms die? Again, very, very, very good question. All right. I love these questions, right? Again, the answer is a big fat no. The worms won't die. Why won't they die? Because do you know what? In designing this dog poop septic tank, I really thought about it really hard for months. I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 prototypes. It took me a while to find the right tank, and et cetera, but we found a tank, right, that protects the worms in the winter and the summer, right? But it kind of it's like an incubator, right? It keeps them warm, it keeps them safe, but it keeps them cool when it is warm or too warm. And don't forget as well, here, right, here where the worms live, they're actually protected and insulated in here with the bedding and the food in there. So there's a lot of thought gone into this dog poop septic tank. So it's not a bin. It's not just like a wheelie bin with a lid on. This is a pure, unadulterated, amazing septic tank. And lots of people asking me about the discharge. They say, how can the discharge that comes out from the dog poop be clean and safe and non-toxic? Well, that's nature for you, right? So you imagine I mean, look, let's take an extreme example here. This is really extreme. Okay, Chernobyl, right? Now, oh God, Chernobyl, they can't even go within X amount of flipping feet or yards or miles of it without flipping, being exposed to radiation and stuff, right? But they found that certain flowers and the worms are actually getting rid of all the radiation somehow. Nature, however, worms have been created, and the plants, they suck up all that radiation, they process it and actually clean it so it's unradiated soil or water or whatever it is that comes back out of them. And this is the marvel of nature, right? You can take something. Take an animal that's died in the woods. It stinks, it's putrid, full of rigor mortis. The worms and the maggots will eat it, digest it, and they actually poop out organic, clean, biodegradable substances. Now, and this is exactly what the worms do. Now, here's a big worm, right? You've probably seen me draw these before. So that's an over-exaggerated picture of a worm. There's a very happy worm there, right? And here he is, look. So let's say you're giving him horrible poop, right? Horrible poop. But to the worm, right, that's like a flipping Sunday roast or something. It's like, yum, this is like where you've been all my life, So he eats the poop. And by the marvels of nature, biochemistry, that poop travels down its intestine, right? And as it goes down there, it's broken down, it's completely transformed from its original toxic state into clean, safe, mineralized liquid. Is that going off the screen? Excuse my writing. Liquid fertilizer. Do you know what? Worm casts and the things that come out of worms are some of the best nutrients you could ever put in your garden. So here, right, you've got a factory. Here, you've got a living ecosystem that produces, right, get this, that produces safe, clean, mineralized liquid fertilizer. I mean, this is nuts, right? Absolute nuts, right? Right, so the worms break down the poop, the liquid, they convert it into this liquid fertilizer. This is better than anything that Percy Thrower ever made or flipping Alan Tishmarsh. This is, do you know what? If you had enough of these in your garden, you'd never, ever need to buy any compost or fertilizer again. So they break this down, right? All this poop into this organic, safe, mineralized water. This is another feature of this dog poop tank. It's got a soak away. Oh, man. Anyway, so the liquid fertilizer, and it allows this liquid fertilizer to soak away, right? This is a little hole, 2 or 3 inches that you've dug in your flower bed in your garden, and it fills up with this mineralized water, and it just soak away into the soil. If you want something like Miracle Grow, right, is synthetic. Don't get me wrong, I mean, there may be some organic materials in there, but it's designed to help plants to grow. If you want your plants, your potatoes, your vegetables to grow like something that you've never seen before, this is the stuff that you need to put on your garden. The worms actually remove the toxins, right? So you've got your toxic poop, and they transform it into clean, natural, safe, mineralized liquid fertilizer. So it's a very, very powerful, it's not just, if you think of it just in terms of like, oh, I got some dog poop here, it's a nuisance, let's put it in the dog poop septic tank, and then you get on with your life again. That's fine, because that's what it does. That's what it does on the tin. But if you want to go a little bit for a deeper dive, This is a living, breathing ecosystem. This is a very, very, very powerful organic system there. And it gives out clean oxygen, it produces mineralized liquid fertilizer, and it gets rid of your dog poop. So it's a serious, serious device, this is. And this is why it's not a bin, stinky, smelly bin. You know, so it can't be compared to those rubbishy, cheapy bins that people sell that, you know, that look good, but in reality, you know, you're just throwing your money away because they just don't work. You just, a bin is a bin is a bin. It's just a container that you're throwing your dog poop into, and when it's full, you have to empty it. And if you want to pay 50 or 100 quid for that, then fair enough. But I'm just saying, but this, for a few pounds more, you can have a living, breathing, organic ecosystem that actually puts back amazing stuff. It converts waste products into safe, clean, mineralized fertilizer that can transform your garden. Last question, right? People are asking me about dog poop bags, right? Dog poop bags. Can you put them into your dog poop septic tank? So let's say you've been for a walk, right? And you've picked loads of dog poop up and you brought it home with you. The answer is yes, you can put it directly into here if the bags, only if the bags are 100% biodegradable. If those bags are 100% biodegradable, you can even get the organic ones. Then you can drop them straight in, and I think they'll look like something like that. Got the little tie things there, haven't they? You know. So let's say, there you go. Let's give you an example of what they look like. So so if they break down as soon as they hit moisture or anything like that, then the worms will actually break down those 100% biodegradable bags. And so they'll not only break the bags down, right, into mineralized liquid fertilizer, they'll also break the dog poop down into mineralized liquid fertilizer. So there you go. So this is like this is like heart and lungs. This is like putting an organic heart and lungs in your garden, right? It's amazing, you know. And yeah, so there you go. So there's another live broadcast today where I hope I've explained things. I haven't muddied the water too much. Hope I've explained it satisfactorily for you. But listen, thank you very, very much for all your interest, for your orders, for your comments, for your questions. Please keep them coming. Listen, I've been doing septic tanks for 20 years. I just love finding solutions for people to the domestic, for human waste and getting rid of it safely. And I love helping people who've got cats, who've got dogs. You can even put cat waste in these things, but that's a story for another day, right? Because I also do a cat poop septic tank. But just keeping on this. So look, I make these because I love septic tanks. I love getting rid of poop in a safe, clean, natural, alternative, organic way. And this is my passion. This is my love. And if you want a living, breathing ecosystem in your garden that's natural and it's just going to benefit you and your dogs and your family, then that's what a dog poop septic tank is. So listen, thanks a lot for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.